Well, g'day, it's Jono Brake here with another round of Monday Myth Check, and today we're going to move into the strategy category of our trail markers. We talk about purpose, strategy, people, communication, and process. So in the strategy section, the first thing we're going to talk about is this idea that I write my strategy, I do a whole planning day, it's documented, it's good to go, let's just do it, right? And I want to really just call this one out because the challenge is that I see too many leaders where they'll spend a lot of time developing their strategy, maybe pulling in a lot of people, a lot of leaders, and that just a day of people not doing work, that's an expensive day out, or a couple of days, or a retreat, or whatever, let alone the costs on top. Then they come to this documented strategy, and then they say, okay, that's what we're going to do for the next 1, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever it is that they're working on, and then obviously each one being condensed down. The challenge then is, well, what do you do with that, right? And we heard in a previous Monday Myth Check, this idea, and it's a very common saying, no great plan survives first contact with the enemy. It's a famous quote, it's been thrown around a lot, it's been thrown around for hundreds of years. And this idea that if I just have a documented strategy, if I just have the process, then that's good enough. Okay, now let's think about that for a minute. So what could be some of the challenges? Well, let's first of all talk about a static strategy. I was just having a chat with a client today, that I always say that a business plan or a strategy or any of these documents are out of date the minute you click save. In the old days, it used to be the minute you print them out. But you don't print them out these days, you just have them electronic. And so they start to go stale from the minute you said, that's it, that's enough. Okay, and so one of the challenges then is that I then say, well, okay, that's the strategy, that's how it lays out, that's all we're going to do. Okay, so again, out of date the minute you press print, the minute you save the strategy. Okay, you save it off as a document. So it's just something to think about, and I think that kind of leads into the second thing, that it's not a document. Okay, your strategy is not the document. The document is just a way you're just writing things down that you all agree on. These are things we're generally going to pursue. But at the end of the day, one of the things I say to all of my clients, it's not your capacity to build a perfect and well-articulated and well-goal-set strategy. That actually isn't the good outcome here. The good outcome here is your ability to then work through that strategy, through the cadences and rhythms. When I walk clients through a strategy, we talk about objectives and key results, and then we talk about how does this play out in a 3-year cadence, in a 1-year cadence, in a quarterly cadence, and then monthly, and even down to weekly or fortnightly, depending on where they sit. And so this idea that it's something we're constantly keeping an eye on. Successful strategy, right, is actually not, again, my ability to articulate it perfectly before it happens. It's my ability to document it, articulate it as it goes along. But I've got to be looking at it on a regular basis. I've got to be working through it on a regular basis. Plans change. No plan survives first contact with the enemy. So your ability as a team to be able to look at this in a regular cadence and recognize those changes and be able to just guide it as you go along. Sure, at the end of the year, it's not going to look exactly like what you planned at the beginning of the year. Or in 3 years' time, it's not going to look exactly like you planned 3 years ago. But the idea is if we're paying attention, we can adapt as we go along. So just something to think about there. And I guess the other piece then is I find that if it's just a document and it's just this broader ethereal thing, then it's really hard for it to guide daily decisions. So it probably ties back into that second piece there, where we use the cadences and rhythms to make sure we're tying it back into the day-to-day. We're tying it into everything we're doing in the business. We talk about repeatable processes being one of the trail markers. It is a repeatable process in and of itself, but it also then speaks to the kinds of processes we need. It speaks to the kind of people we need to bring around us, the communication that has to take place, all of these things, and then how it speaks back into our purpose. So all of these things become so important in this journey. And so just a couple of things to think about. Your strategy is not just this static thing that you develop and I know very few people today just put it on the shelf and forget about it, but I'm surprised at the number of people who don't have cadences, the rhythms of execution. So when it does hit the first wall, when it does survive the first punch, survives the first contact with the enemy, that you're there and ready to pivot and change as you go along. So I want you to just think about this today. I want you to actually think about, as a leader, am I looking at my strategy as a cadence, as a system of rhythms? Or am I looking at my strategy as just something that I've done and now we're just kind of working towards it? We're having some ad hoc meetings. There's no real guidance in those meetings. There's some great ways to run strategic and tactical meetings. I want you to think about that today. What are you going to do to not just have a great strategy, but to make sure that the execution is also fantastic? So again, the idea that strategy, it's a document you write, it's there, and that's it. I'm calling this one out. It is a myth. You have to look at the cadences and rhythms. This is Monday Myth Check. I'm Jono Brake. As always, enjoy the journey.